Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Julia Lynn. A former NASA Space Shuttle astronaut has landed back in his home state of South Dakota. Scotland native Chuck Gaymar moved from Wichita, Kansas to Sioux Falls just over a month ago, and he sat down with KELOLAND's Perry Groten to look back on how growing up in the open prairie served as his launching pad to space.
Returning to South Dakota has been a long-time goal of Chuck Gaymar's.
Yeah, I always say I spent the first 17 years of my life trying to figure out how I was going to get out of the state, and the next 50 to try and figure out how I could get back.
As a boy, Gaymar kept his aspirations of space exploration pretty much to himself.
I grew up on the plains of South Dakota. There weren't any astronauts from South Dakota, and we didn't know any astronauts. It's not like they were down the street. There's one on every corner in Houston, but that's not the case here.
So Gaymar became NASA's first South Dakota-born astronaut. He flew 3 missions aboard the space shuttle during the 1990s. KELOLAND News covered the launch of his first shuttle flight in 1990.
Just over 10 minutes ago, shuttle Atlantis lifted off. It was a beautiful sight here. The sky lit up, the ground shook.
Veteran astronauts often struggled to describe to Gaymar what a spaceflight was like back when he was in training. Gaymar would have to find out for himself.
And the best part of spaceflight is, from that vantage point above the globe, looking back at the planet and just watching continent after continent after continent slowly fade in the distance.
While Gaymar is earthbound back in South Dakota, he'll still take off on a flight every once in a while, traveling around the world to teach STEM fields to students.
In my most immediate future, we're going to be doing programs in Malaysia this year, New York City in October. Next year we'll be in Saudi Arabia in most of the month of February, China in January.
Gaymar is still getting settled into his new home in downtown Sioux Falls. Ultimately, the high point of flying into space couldn't overcome the gravitational pull of his home state. In Sioux Falls, Perry Groten, KELOLAND News.
Gaymar has been following the developments aboard the International Space Station, where 2 American astronauts scheduled to be in space for only 8 days will now have to wait until February to return. Gaymar credits NASA for being overly cautious and waiting to bring a new capsule to the space station to ensure their safe return home. The Boeing Starliner capsule that brought the 2 astronauts to the space station landed in New Mexico Friday night.